had scored on a little bit of a wacky lined up play in which they sent all their offensive linemen to one side, except for a few with quarterback Caleb Williams, and he rolls out to the right and finds his way into the end zone for the 2 points. I'd have been fine with either decision. Jedd Fisch made the decision to not to not go for two, to kick the extra point. And at that point, tie the game versus winning it. I was fine with that. Had he made the decision there to go for two and try to steal a win early, I'd have been fine with that too. But there's obviously a large faction of people who believe that he should have gone for two right there and then, not even attempt to put Caleb Williams back on the field again. We're going to hear from Jedd Fisch on that because I asked him about that today and what went into that decision. But before we do that, I want to hear from the two gentlemen who are joining me today. Jed. Yeah, no, you're not. Your name's not Jed. It's David. David Amata and J.W. Madden. We'll start with you, J.W. Madden. How did you feel about that call there to kick the extra point and play on versus going for the win?
I think in general it's a strength decision. So if you're talking about a really powerful offense and a weak, mediocre defense that you're playing against, you want to take that factor in. I think going into that choice, DK, I felt like the offense for Arizona was really doing what they wanted to do towards the end in those short yardage gain situations especially. They kind of had USC's defense, which has been maligned all season for good reason, on their heels. And in that case, on the road, facing the defending Heisman quarterback, I think that's a case for maybe trying the chance and going for two to end the win there at the end of the first. It's so hard to second-guess that decision. The guys have worked so hard to get to that point. What are they, 21-point underdogs in that game? It's so hard. I mean, the old adage, we were talking about this in our production meeting, the old adage for basketball of taking the three-point shot down by two, waning seconds of a game on the road is oftentimes the choice to be made, and that's the factor of being on the road or being at home. If you're trying, again, I think Arizona's defense played really well, but those short yardage, he was going where he had, 3 touchdowns on the ground in that game? So, yeah, I mean, it's really hard to second guess, but I think in hindsight, you probably do want to go for two there and the win.
Considering the fact that this team just last week managed to go ahead and keep Michael Penix and the Washington Huskies offense from scoring a passing touchdown the entire game, and you really, in essence, in this game for Arizona's defense against USC, you made Caleb Williams look mortal. He had multiple games coming into this where he had tied his career high in touchdowns with 6 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns. Man looked like he could do no wrong. People calling him the Patrick Mahomes of college football, going back to his performance he's had last season. That game, Caleb Williams looked like the most pedestrian quarterback that we have seen out of USC in a long time.
He missed his first 4, right? His first 4 throws. And it's not like I watch every single Caleb Williams game that he plays in, but the 5th or 6th throw, he actually missed his man by a good 5 yards. It was very uncharacteristic because watching highlights, he's very accurate, obviously, with his passes. But I don't know if it was the scheme having those 7 defensive backs. You think Dragon Ball, that might have something, because they had to have prepared for that because that's what they did against Penix as well.
See, that's the thing, is that I think personally, I had a belief going into this game that there was going to be a truth about Caleb Williams that was going to be discovered in this if the defensive front for Arizona could do what they have been, which is stay fresh, keep the rotation going, but keep guys coming hard at Caleb Williams in that offensive line for USC. Caleb Williams has a very bad case of happy feet. He is a jumpy dude in the pocket, especially when it starts to break down directly in front of him. You had a lot of defensive tackles for Arizona getting right into Caleb's face, forcing him to go outside. He really couldn't set his feet properly. You put him in a situation where he has to roll out and cut half of the field off. It really does damage what he wants to do as a passer in that game. If you get him uncomfortable, then you do the right thing. But here's the rub. I think that the 7 DB setup for Arizona killed them in the end because you don't have somebody playing the spy. How many passing touchdowns did Caleb Williams have in that game? I'll tell you, it was 1.
Yeah.
How many rushing touchdowns did he have? 3.
3.
He had 3 rushing touchdowns by scrambling outside the pocket to get into the end zone, including one that was the backbreaker for me at the very end of the game. If you keep Caleb Williams in a position where he can't run and roll out and move forward, you're set. Force him to have to reset his feet. He's not a good resetter once he's out of the pocket. We saw that throughout most of that first quarter when Arizona was up 10-0 and then 17-0 in the second quarter. But they just didn't have anybody in the front watching Caleb. That was the big backbreaker for me on the defense.
Yeah, it's funny because he only had 40 yards rushing. But
Yeah.
he's got that effortless athleticism. If you watch him move around, he kind of glides, right? And he's a big guy for that position. I agree with you. I think sometimes he gets a little happy in the pocket. Maybe he should stick in there a little bit more. But to me, 100% of the credit, guys, goes to the secondary for Arizona. I mean, those are all coverage sacks. He just did not have anywhere to go with the ball, whether it was scheme or just those guys want to. I mean, that you're talking about some, what are they? You talked about, tell your mentor, DK, about that. What, they got 11 wide receivers that they're putting in there these days? So they got a big stable of wide receivers. Obviously, one of the most talented, if not the most talented quarterbacks in the entire landscape of college football. To me, the real stars of that game were the secondary, just like they were against Washington, holding Caleb Williams to only 1 touchdown. And obviously, if you don't have 5 future NFL defensive linemen up there in the front, there's going to be some gaps without that spy, as you just eloquently laid out there, Dragon Ball. That's a pick your poison, right?
Well,
I mean, that's what they had to do.
Well, I'm gonna lay some love at the hands of the defensive line, because I thought this was a game where they might be able to get more pressure, because if there is a weakness on this USC offense, it is their offensive line. And we saw that. We saw the defensive ends at times have a field day. And yes, there was great coverage at the back end, but there was also some great pressure on the front end. I mean, Russell Davis, who I wasn't even sure was going to play in that game because he had gotten hurt and not played at 3 quarters in the Washington game. I mean, he came out with his hair on fire in that ball game Saturday night. Deuce Davis, Isaiah Ward, Taylor Upshaw, all at times got off the edge and got pressure and got, like you said, chased Caleb Williams out of the pocket to where he is a lot less comfortable if he's looking to throw the football. Yes, obviously with that 7 defensive back to dollar package, you've got to, and that'd be interesting to ask. I'll ask Johnny and Anton that tomorrow, if there is one person in that defense whose job it is to spy the quarterback, because when you get into these situations, you're going to face a similar quarterback this week in Cameron Ward. You got to have at least one person, I would think, that's in the middle, whether that's the linebacker or one of those DBs who's going to come back down if that quarterback starts to take off. So our question of the day: should Arizona have gone for 2 at the end of the first overtime to try and win the game? Head on over to our Twitter page at Wildcats1290 right now. We've got that question up. You can answer that question. Let's see. Right now, early in the poll, it is 88% saying yes, absolutely. Jed Fish should have gone for 2 at the end of the first overtime to try to win that game. As I said, I was either or. I was fine with either decision. It didn't. And I guess in the long run, I would probably opt more for playing games out. That's just my philosophy. And and you'll hear his explanation for this. I kind of believed when he didn't do that it was him throwing some trust into the way that his defense had played. Because again, let's not kid ourselves. The reason that the Wildcats are in these games is because of the way that this defense has played. Sometimes you got to give that defense a little love, and I felt like that's maybe what he was doing there, and you'll hear him say that here in our next segment. Joining us, the 4th member of our program, is Cricket. Yachtly Crew was awesome last night.
Yeah?
Yeah,
You made it to work today.
I did.
Yes.
I didn't get up feeling all that great this morning, and but once I got in the shower and I got my bearings together, I was good to go. But it was a lot of fun. Much different type of concert, I think, than what I saw from them at the Rialto, because the Rialto is a much smaller venue. This is wide open. It's outside. It's kind of more of a seated thing versus everybody kind of standing around the stage type of situation. Although they did, it was weird. For Ambrosia Open, they kind of wouldn't let anybody go down into that standing area there at Ave Amphitheater for Ambrosia. And then initially, when Yachtly Crew came on, they weren't letting people down there. But I think the band kind of said, we need some people down here. So after about 6 songs, they let people kind of come down into the standing area there near the stage, and it kind of got a little bit more ambiance to it. But it was still a fun show from those guys, and it was different. It was a very different show than what we had seen downtown. So it was a lot of fun.
Present company excluded. Don't most attendees of Yacht Rock maybe have a hip replacement type of thing going on? I mean, the dancing, I would assume the dancing. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just being practical.
Hey.
We are not that old, Jay Dunn.
I'm just checking.
Sir.
That old. Come on now. You're killing me on that. But yeah, that was it was a very very good show out there. And that was the first time I'd been to a concert there. I think, gosh, I probably haven't been to a show there in 9 or 10 years.
So you had a good time. Did you wear your captain's cap?
My wife has a captain's cap, so she didn't go because she's out of town. So I wore her captain's cap.
Good. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, so I'll put some pictures up and all of that and some videos I took. That'll be on my Facebook page a little bit later. So go check it out. What'd you do this weekend? What was the best thing you did this weekend?
I got to see my nieces and nephew. So that's always fun.
Okay.
My nephew's super excited. He got his very first paycheck this weekend.
What's he doing?
He's working at Funtastics.
Oh.
So his paycheck was almost $500. So that's a big moment.
Is he the one I've got to talk to about the greens on that
Yes,
mini
sir.
golf course?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because they're
That's
rolling a
your
little
boy.
too much to the right for my liking.
Boy.
That's your boy.
That's awesome. This is his first job ever?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. And he's how old?
He is 18.
18. Okay. All right. Well, fantastic. So I'll have to and his name is what?
Damien.
Damien. I'll have to look for Damien if I go out. I haven't been to Fantastic. So that's another place I don't think I've been in a while. But it's been maybe only a couple years versus like 10.
Maybe he could hook you up with a free bumper boat ride or something,
that's what I'm talking about. The bumper boats. They have bumper cars too. I'm all about the bumping.
Which one of these is the one with the engine that doesn't have me lean slightly to the left?
Too much to the okay.
I can get that straight on.
Get it going. Yeah.
All right, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather is Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together. Benson and Campbell Avenue and Benson Highway. A collision that's clearing and heads up for overnight road work tonight along I-10 between Rita Road and Keno Parkway. 7 tonight till 5 tomorrow morning. And weather-wise, a 15% chance of showers today. 66 are low and 94 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together.
Do you know of any place besides Tobacco Barn where you can save up to 40% on your favorite tobacco products?
Only Tobacco Barn offers up to 40% off, and you're very sexy.
Okay. Do you know of any place besides Tobacco Barn where you pay no city or state sales tax because they're on the reservation?
Only Tobacco Barn.
And you get up to another $3 off with a coupon at tobaccobarntucson.com.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Actually, I'm married.
Once you go ChatGPT, you can never go back.
Right, get up to 40% off. Pay no city or state sales tax. Get up to $3 off with a coupon at tobaccobarntucson.com and use caution when using ChatGPT.
But you haven't even seen my extended supercharged external processor yet.
Oh, 90. 2020 Sports.
Well, it was a heartbreaker for the University of Arizona on Saturday as the team went and took the reigning Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams and his USC Trojans to a triple overtime contest, but they could not get into the end zone on their final attempt in third overtime. Again, head coach Jed Fish said the team will be making the best decision on what the course will be at the quarterback position for their upcoming game this week.
Yeah, well, the first question is, we haven't made a decision in this program once about what, we decide what we think is best for the program from everything that we know and do and see, and we don't just listen to others in that decision. When it comes down to deciding who the starting quarterback is, when we played USC last year and lost 45-37 and Jaden threw 3 touchdown passes, ran for another, and had 387 yards passing, everybody was clamoring that he should have been the player of the week. I think that everybody has short-term memories. Everybody likes to live in the now, live in the present. Noah has done a fantastic job, and having 2 quarterbacks is better than none. And I think we're in a very good place at the quarterback position as we move forward.
Again, Arizona is opening as an almost 10-point underdog at the time against Washington State. And bad news for the Colts, they will likely be without their quarterback and the number 4 overall pick in this last year's draft, Anthony Richardson, for some time, as it was revealed that he suffered a grade 3 AC joint sprain in the contest against the Titans this last Sunday. Richardson has dealt with several injuries so far in his rookie campaign, including a concussion that had him sit out a week earlier this year. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program today. The question of the day, should Arizona have gone for two at the end of the first overtime to try and win the game at USC? Let's go to the phones and talk to Rob. You are on DK on the Sports Tip, Wildcats Radio 1290.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I think going for two, I think Coach Fish made the right decision in not doing that. There were a lot of short yardage situations that they stuffed us. But I'm more curious at the end of the game when Noah threw that deep ball to try to get in the end zone when we were on that last drive down the field. I was sure they would have kept it on the ground and try to get a closer field goal for the win. I think that was more of a reason we may have lost and not being able to stop Williams in that last overtime.
He was
wondering your thoughts on that.
He was asked about that today. I agree. I thought, man, you know what? I would try to maybe get Loop into a better position there. He was asked about that particular play today, and he said that they saw a coverage that they felt like fit that particular play, and it just Noah threw it in the wrong place. It was a pass that should have gone more to the outside, and it was too far into the inside, and it caused T-Mac to have to come back for it. But I agree. I didn't think that was a play that you should have ran there.
I appreciate you taking my call. Thanks.
All right, Rob. Appreciate you. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290.
Yeah, that was 4 minutes and 8 seconds left in the game on 1st and 10. Was that call?
We'll pull that and give that to his explanation for that play for you. We'll have that for you a little bit later in the show as well. Let's hear from Paul. You're on DK on the Sports Tip, Wildcats Radio 1290.
David, hey, it's Paul in Phoenix. Hey, just a couple things. First, will the internet trolls back off of Coach Fish? And everybody, he didn't know the overtime rules and blah blah blah. Oh my goodness, please! I claim to think I know. I'm myself expert, right? I didn't really totally understand. I haven't lived through the overtime rules. And did it cost us anything? No. So everybody just back off. Jeez Louise. But the real reason I called, and this is me playing hypothetical, if that last roughing the passer penalty that went against us, okay, if it was flipped and Noah was backing up and throws the ball, incomplete third down play, and he gets kind of banged a little bit, would they have called a roughing the passer against us? Well, the 4-letter network that the game was on, they were doing everything possible to make sure that their little trophy boy and their little USC team somehow, some way, makes it to the college football playoffs. So that's me griping. I know JW, hang up on me right now. You guys have a good one.
I'm never going to do
what?
that.
Everybody back off on Jed. Jeez Louise. He's taken us places that he's yet to take us where we need to be, but he will. Everybody just back off. He says it didn't cost us. Did it cost us 5 yards on a penalty? I don't think. Did it? When he went about the overtime thing? No, it's like the referee said, no, you got to go for 2. Okay, well, what's the drama? Please, come on, people. Anyway, guys, I'm still bothered by that one. It's gonna hang with me for a while until somehow somebody. And let's just see. This is where coaching will coaching and attitude of the whole team. Let's see how they show up against Washington State. And I've already checked the weather. They say no rain. 63 degrees is the high, maybe 40-something
That's
low.
a good day.
It's perfect football weather. There's no excuses. So that's not an excuse. Let's go out there. Let it all hang out. Defense, just let it all hang out. If we can make that quarterback, like I said, late Saturday night, or actually Sunday morning, if we can make him go 19-39 again, I like our chances. Thanks, guys. Very nice.
All right, Paul. Paul in Phoenix, always good to hear from you. Noah Fafita today named the Pac-12 Freshman of the Week off his 303-yard, 5-touchdown performance at USC. And so, again, two major questions that have been crippling the fan base over the weekend with comment, and one of them is our question of the day, and that's whether or not the Wildcats should have gone for two at the end of the first overtime to win. The other is who should Noah Fifita be the starting quarterback moving forward, regardless of what's going on with Jaden DeLora. I've said I don't think that that's a decision that Jed Fish is going to make. He's not going to pull Jaden DeLora from the starting role for being hurt. You're never going to see that happen, folks. So you might as well just get off that thought process right now. But I did ask Jed Fish, and let's hear from him today about how he quiets those of you out there and what he says to those of you out there that believe that Jaden DeLora should no longer be the quarterback of this team.
Jed, how do you quiet the very loud sector of your fan base that wants Noah Fifita to be your starting quarterback moving forward? And then what goes into that decision to decide whether to go for two to try to win the game in the first overtime?
Yeah, well, the first question is, I mean, we haven't made a decision in this program once about what, we decide what we think is best for the program from everything that we know and do and see. And we don't just listen to others in that decision. When it comes down to deciding who the starting quarterback is, when we played USC last year and lost 45-37 and Jaden threw 3 touchdown passes, ran for another, and had 387 yards passing, everybody was clamoring that he should have been the player of the week. I think that everybody has short-term memories. Everybody likes to live in the now, live in the present. Noah has done a fantastic job, and having 2 quarterbacks is better than none. And I think we're in a very good place at the quarterback position as we move forward. I would also say that, I've lived through a lot of these. I lived through situations where your starting quarterback is playing. He earned his position. Backup quarterback goes in. Backup quarterback plays well. Starting quarterback goes back in. Starting quarterback plays even better than he's ever played. I've seen it the other way. I've seen it in every way, shape, or form over 25 years and 20 of them coaching quarterbacks. So I look forward to both of those guys getting better every week, and we'll figure out as we go how that process works. In turn of, I don't know who's going to start this week because I don't know how healthy Jaden is. We'll see. He's healthier than he was last week. He's better than he was the week before. And we'll let that play out as we roll into this next game. I think that everybody's looking for wins, and that's what everybody's excited about. And, we started the season 3-1. We've lost the last 2 in a row, and our goal is to get back on the winning side of things this coming week.
All right, that is Jed Fish on the quieting those of you out there who believe that Noah Fifita should be the starting quarterback of this football team. We'll hear more from him about the play in question at the end of the second or the end of the first overtime, and whether or not he felt like he should have gone for 2 there to try to win the game at USC. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. Let's go back to the phones and hear from James. You're on DK on the Sports Tip, Wildcats Radio 1290.
Good afternoon there, David.
Good afternoon, James.
Hey, about the game Saturday. I saw parts of it because I was at a function. What I keep hearing about Fifita is that he brings a calming effect to the offense that the other one doesn't really. He just has trouble with. So if you're going to run a 2-point play in that situation, you got to have the plays. And most offenses have 1 or 2 plays that they run, but everybody's got to be comfortable with it. The quarterback, the receiver, everybody's got to be on the same page. So if that's what the situation calls for, then you do it. I get it. But the thing is, when you go to Southern Cal, and I'm going to say this, and I know you're a USC grad, but to be honest, you cannot leave that game into the hands of the officials. You can't. I saw where they scored. It looked like he may have stepped out, USC's quarterback. They didn't show it. They didn't replay it. I wish they would have, so it would have been as well. Did he step out? Did he not step out? I don't know. But I just knew that Arizona really put a heck of a lot in that game, and I wish they could have came away with the win. But they didn't, and that happens. And you go to somebody else's place, you better win. It's not going to come around that often. But beyond saying that, I don't know if you have said anything about the passing of Dick Butkus, because I know that your father played against Dick Butkus, and
we did mention that last Thursday when we actually got the news during the show right before we went to the NFL game that he had passed away, and I talked a little bit about how he clotheslined my father a few times, and that's one of the reasons why clotheslining is illegal in the National Football League.
Yes, to say the least. But your dad was a heck of a running back. He really was.
He was pretty good.
He was really good. Yes, he was. He followed a pretty good guy in front of him too. But I just want to know if you had said anything about that, because nobody played football like that, and they certainly don't play like that anymore. And we're kind of lucky that they don't. But still, that man could put the fear in anybody. And as Deacon Jones used to say, he didn't play to put you in the hospital. He played to put you in the cemetery. That's the truth.
Roses are red, violets are blue. If you've got any sense, you'll keep Dick Butkus away from you.
that is true words were never said. So I just want to know if you had mentioned that at all, because your dad was a fine man to take all that punishment from that man.
Yeah, we did mention that. Rest in peace to a great one. One of my father's Hall of Fame fraternity brothers, the great Dick Butkus. James, appreciate you checking in today, and let's get you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather with Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Benson and Campbell Avenue and Benson Highway, a collision clearing, and road work along Coachline Road north of Silver Bell. That road work scheduled through Thursday. 15% chance of showers today, and 66 are low, and 94 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's. Try Wendy's new Pumpkin Spice Frosty today. Wendy's new Pumpkin Spice Frosty is peak fall. It'll make any kind of fall fun even fallier. So no matter how you fall, grab a rich, creamy Pumpkin Spice Frosty from Wendy's today. Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Vanilla Frosty is temporarily unavailable.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888.
University of Arizona campus, volleyball opened up their weekend with a win over UCLA with their first win in the Pac-12 this season and a 3-1 match against the Bruins. They could not do it again, however, against USC on Sunday after a 5-set match. Soccer ended up falling to the Huskies on Sunday, surrendering 2 goals in both the first and second half of the contest, now stuck in a 4-game losing streak since the start of the Pac-12 slate. And the space and pace era of the Suns, as they call it, saw the first glimpse of what could be on the way for the Suns as they faced off against the Pistons and their former head coach Monty Williams as he leads the Detroit squad this year. It didn't take long to see the new addition in Bradley Beal fit himself right into the offense.
And Durant able to grab the rebound on a quick push up front. Beal gets into the paint. Beal, one of 5 players in the league to average 20-plus points on 50% from the field, 80% from the line. And Booker connecting to the rookie and connects on the triple. Double-figure score in 39 games last season, almost 18 points per game. Improving on his three-point shot, KD. Well, he just continues to find ways to improve. Summer League games in Vegas. As Gordon able to get past the youngster Ivy. Catch and shoot a high-arching 3, and Bradley Beal deposits it.
Joining the Suns' big 3 of Kevin Durant and Devin Booker along with Beal, the starting lineup saw center Yusuf Nurkic and Josh Okogie to fill out the starting 5. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, there are 5 fall sports at the University of Arizona: football, a volleyball program, a soccer program, and then men's and women's cross country. Let's talk to the man that heads up those running programs in the fall for the University of Arizona, the great American distance runner Bernard Lagat joins us now, and he is in his 4th season with this program. And Bernard, first of all, this is your first time as a head coach. How's it going now in year number 4?
Oh, year number 4 is treating me well. Thank you very much. It's been going so well. I have great athletes. I've been able to recruit really well since I came into the program 4 years ago, and that seems to be going well for me, and they have been able to perform really well.
So what is it when you took this job, what were the kind of, give me a profile of the kind of athletes that you wanted to bring here to run distance for the University of Arizona?
So when I joined the program, first of all, I was lucky enough to join the program, which was run by my my personal coach, Dr. James Lee. And then, so James Lee coached here for a long time, since 2002, when we both came from Washington State, and he was coaching me as a professional. And so when 2020 came and he wanted to, he retired, I took the job from him. And so what I wanted to, first of all, is I wanted to learn how to coach collegiate athletes, and because I'd been a volunteer coach under Coach Lee. And so it wasn't really that hard, but then I guess the hardest thing is, hey, how do you recruit and bring those athletes? One, to your question, what kind of athletes did I want to bring to my program was, I'm a competitor, and I would like to win, and I like to be competitive. I just want to make sure, like, every single time I go into a race, I want to make sure that I'm the one that's going to win. So that thing, I was looking at what sort of program I was going to develop is the one that's going to beat everybody. It's going to be the one that is going to be making the Wildcats, shine. And because they had that history under Coach Lee. And so it was a big shoe to fill. And, again, those things do not come so quick. One of the things that you think about is, I want a certain team that is going to be competitive, scoring at Pac-12s, and then going to nationals. And then at the end of the day, it is how you recruit and also who you recruit and the nature of the team that you have. So I was able to do that. Of course, that has been a challenge, not easy. Like sometimes dreams are not, realized in just one night. So you have to have more nights of dreaming in order for it to work out. And so, for me, it is. It's been a learning thing, and so the athletes that I have right now, when I think of when I joined the team, it's like night and day, and so we are doing well right now.
Bernard Lagat is joining us. He is the head cross-country coach here at the University of Arizona for both the men's and the women's teams. And I guess, how is the training, how would you best describe the way the training is different for the fall And did we lose Coach? I think we lost Coach there, so we'll see if we can get him back on the line. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program, 520-848-1290. We'll tell you what we've got coming up for today while we wait for Coach Legat to rejoin us. We're also going to be talking a little bit later. Our insider today is going to be Blair Willis, longtime watcher of the U of A football program, used to be a former sports information director in the office there over the football program, and he's going to be joining us a little bit later as well as we talk about the Wildcats' loss coming up. We'll also get you ready for your Diamondbacks, who play tonight at 6:07, Game 2 of the NLDS against the Los Angeles Dodgers. We have Coach Legat back with us. Coach, you're just so fast, you ran right out of the phone line there.
I know. Yes, I apologize for that.
That's okay. That's okay. My question that I was asking you when the call dropped there was, what's the main difference in terms of your training for the fall season when you're running cross country? And actually, you have to train, I would imagine, for 3 different seasons, because you're training these cross country runners in the fall. But then you're training them in the winter for the indoors, which I imagine is a different type of training. And then you go to the outdoors in the spring, and that's a different type of training. Kind of give us some of the differences between the 3 different seasons for you and your distance runners.
Right. Thank you so much for that question. Yes, we have the 3 seasons. One, in fall, we have that cross country, and then in spring, we have the indoor and outdoor season. The difference really is that in the indoor season, you build the mileage, and that's what you do during summertime. So during June, July, and then August, we are building the mileage. We have the endurance. We do the hard workouts in there, the tempo runs and threshold runs. And then also we do like some faster intervals, but also those tend to be longer. We tend to be training more on the route, on the dirt roads. Like, for example, we go to the East Monument and the West Monument here in Tucson, kind of running through the hills to make sure that we prepare our athletes for the cross-country courses that are different. And then for the indoor season, basically we capitalize on that endurance that we have been building in cross-country, which puts athletes in fantastic shape. All you have to do as a coach is you get the distance, and then basically the volume goes down, and then the intensity goes up. And the intensity, I mean, the workouts that we do is like faster repeats on the track, and we just go to the track and we enjoy that different change of training location. And then that is when, and the season is really short in the indoor. So, and then when we go to the outdoor season, that is where you kind of mix the two, the endurance and also sport specific. The 800-meter runs, the runners have to do something specific. The 5,000, the 10,000, those are different kind of training that you have to do. So you kind of have to mix them, all of it, to make sure that you capitalize on the endurance that they build during cross-country season. And so that is how those seasons actually vary. But there's a lot of similarities. All of them need you to be on your A game, be it in cross-country, indoor, and outdoor.
You've got a pair of twins on your. I would imagine they're twins on your men's team, Ian Sanchez Lopez and Iker Sanchez Lopez. And how did you find those two? And they're 2 of your better runners.
So it happened that actually one of our best athletes that was in this program, Carlos Villarreal.
Yeah.
He was, he is a Pan Am champion. He was making All-American. And so one of the times he told me, hey, I've been contacted by these boys and they want to be at Arizona, because they looked at me and I said, hey, we have same heritage. You've been successful at the University of Arizona. Can you connect us with the coach? And then so he told me, hey, here's the phone number, just go to the boys. And it was really the kind of call that I wanted, especially being a new coach. And I wanted to make turn the program around. And I've been really lucky with Iker and Ian, because those guys are amazing. They train hard, very smart athletes, and those boys actually helped me get the best athletes that I have right now. Because it's kind of like, once you start recruiting good athletes, everybody wants to come to the program. And I've been lucky that those boys came and helped me jumpstart my coaching career.
And on the women's side, Sailor Hutton has kind of been your leading force there. What do you like about the way she handles herself out there on the course?
The good thing with Sailor Hutton is that she's been there, done that. She was a transfer herself, and then she came and she changed everything over here, how athletes look at an athlete who has been there and done that. So we wanted that element of somebody who has done it. and she was the perfect fit because all these athletes were young. They had never, run even in the championship like her. And so when she came in, everybody thought, okay, I want to be like Sailor. Sailor, of course, wanted nothing but to be the best she can be and also be a good role model, a captain in the team. And then also we have Alisa Lysina from Canada and also a freshman who is fantastic right now, Sasha. And so all those athletes have seen the way Sailor does her job, and they're actually doing a fantastic job themselves, just being there with Sailor and running together as a team.
Are there keys? I mean, obviously, we kind of talked about the 3 different seasons. Is there keys to being a good runner on grass versus, what these kids do when they're actually on a track? What are some of the keys to being a good grass runner?
So it is basically running, trying to find places that resembles also where you'll be competing in grass. So for me, I take them to the grass fields because if you can do that, you can be competitive elsewhere. Because once you change to like these super shoes that you hear us talking about nowadays, and you're on the track, all those things that you do, the hard workouts that you do on the dirt roads and also on the grass, that is a hard thing to do. And then when you are doing that kind of hard workouts, it would be so much easier to transfer all that into the track where you have the super shoes and you are running, first of all, on a rubber start. So that is the part that helps the athletes actually perform to their best because they do the best job they can do outdoors. And then, not outdoors, but on the dirt roads and also on the undulating terrains of dirt roads like on the West Monument. And so when they come into the track, they're ready to go. And so the shoes nowadays helps a lot. I usually like to call them, you switch onto your Ferraris and you're ready to go.
Before we let you go, Bernard, just reflect on your fabulous career that you had as a professional. I mean, to go to, I believe, was it 6 Olympic Games? If I got the number correct, five Olympic Games.
you gave me one more.
and the last came at 41 years old. I mean, I remember watching you qualify for that, and you stuck your tongue out at the end of the race. And I mean, what was that? What did that mean to you to be able to achieve the Olympic level on 5 different occasions?
It means a lot, and also it is a testament of hard work, really. And that's what I want the young generation to see. I want my athletes to see. They ask me, what is the secret thing that you did? And I said, the secret lies on discipline, hard work, determination, staying healthy, eating well, listening to your body, and trusting the system. Trusting the system means also you have to trust the coach that is coaching you, that they know what they're doing. Trust them and let them lead you through to success. And so for me, that was basically what I needed. Stability is something that is important as well. So I was able to have one coach, have same agent, and have that same support group, with my wife supporting me all the way. I think that was the one that set me apart from other people. But also what I would say is that, when you're enjoying doing something and also in a way of giving back, it's that easier. For me, it was, what am I doing right now as an American athlete? I was giving back to the generation that helped me be who I was, and also for the future generation that I knew if they were to run like me, they're going to be the best. Nobody's going to stop them. And that is one thing that is still kind of takes me through right now as I'm coaching them. I still want to give back. I want them now to accomplish more than I did. Of course, running 5 Olympics, some of them, they look at like, man, it's impossible to get to. But, try being the best in the NCAA. Try to be the best one in the country. Before you know it, you'll be making teams like I did. And, the rest will be history.
Bernard, we appreciate you taking a few minutes to join us. Pac-12 championships just 2.5 weeks away up in the Washington State area there. And we look forward to this team going up there and trying to make some noise this year.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and I appreciate the support from all the Wildcat family here. It's been fantastic, and I count on their support every single day.
Bernard Lagat, he is the head cross-country coach at the University of Arizona. We'll get a break in here, come back with much more in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll take your calls on Arizona football's loss to USC. Get you ready for the game against Wazoo. This is DK on the Sports Tip. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. With reported collisions, Sanders Road near Avra Valley, north of Avra Valley Road on Sanders Road, also clearing Benson and Campbell Avenue and Benson Highway. 15% chance of showers today, 66 our overnight low, 94 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored. that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Mount Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
So there was some news that came out last night regarding the Arizona football program. And we talked about this last week, and I'm not going to really get into it again. But we're done talking about college commitments on this show, if you missed it last week. Because lately they don't really mean anything to a lot of these young people who are making these decisions. So they're not going to mean anything to me moving forward. And so we will discuss commitments to college for our high-profile student athletes on the prep level when they sign on the dotted line, or if we're interviewing them and that particular subject comes up. But we're not celebrating it anymore. We're not talking about it. But I just wanted to remind you because there was some news that came out regarding commitments and such last night. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290, second hour of the show. We'll get into U of A and USC. There's a lot of stuff going on out here about this particular game. I'll read this one tweet from Yogi Roth, who has been on the show the last 2 weeks, and we get Yogi and Ted again this week for Washington State, so look forward to talking to those two again. Probably Ted later in the week and Yogi a week from today. A lot of people critical of USC after their win over Arizona Saturday night, and I get it, but what isn't getting enough dialogue is that Arizona football is a really good team and growing under head coach Jed Fish. Talent, development, recruiting, plus sound schemes, coaching, and culture. That is Yogi Roth, the broadcaster analyst for the Pac-12 network.
So the two quarterbacks they just faced, right? That's the two best quarterbacks in the nation?
Yeah.
And how many touchdowns did they throw against that Arizona defense?
Was it one?
One total.
One total in two
touchdown.
games against the two best quarterbacks in the nation.
One total
So
touchdown.
There is that.
Yes. This defense is playing really well right now. Really well right now. And I'm going to let you hear in a moment what Jed Fish said when I asked him about not going for two in the first overtime to win the game at USC. You'll be interested to hear what he has to say. 520-848-1290. Let's talk to Gabriel. You are on DK on the Sports Tip, Wildcats Radio 1290.
Hi, you guys. It's nice to hear from you, David Kelly. I hope you are doing okay today.
I'm doing well, Gabriel. How about you?
I'm doing okay, just getting over what happened Saturday and Sunday, so I'll talk to you guys about that. So, first off, with Arizona's loss against USC, Arizona was in it in the first, second, third quarter, and a lot of penalties on Arizona's part, and that kind of led USC to come back and ultimately win the game. One penalty to me that didn't really make sense was is that I think I can't remember what player it was, but a defensive end that basically tackled Caleb Williams and was called roughing the passer.
I believe it was Tia Savea.
Tia Savea. And when I was watching the game, and even the announcers, they basically said that's not roughing the passer. That was a clean hit. So that doesn't make any sense. That didn't make any sense. And the referees were not that very good, to be honest with you. So I like how the defensive play, they tried their best containing Caleb Williams. I like how the offensive never gave up, and this team never gave up, to be honest with you. And they basically fight till the end, and unfortunately, I really wanted Arizona to finally beat USC because even though Arizona fans really hate this team up north, but to be honest with you, I really despise USC because I know that you're a USC fan, but I don't mean it like a jab to you, but I just kind of feel that USC always have like a raging narcissist syndrome or something like that. But
University of spoiled children. Is that what you're trying to say there, Gabriel?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Anyway, yeah, I'm sorry about that, but I'm really happy that Arizona.
You know what the degree level is at USC, Gabriel. You get your BA, you get your MBA, and then you get your BMW.
Funny. Ha ha ha. I like it. Anyway, Arizona was almost close to winning that game. The USC have fun playing the Big Ten, have fun being beaten by Ohio State. So have at it, Hoss.
All right.
So last time, so on Sunday, obviously you basically stated that unfortunately Elijah Rushing basically decommitted to Arizona. I'm not going to criticize the kid because he's doing the best for his life, and I'm not going to criticize him for doing that. But Arizona recruiting was having a lot of momentum after that, and I feel that. Well, let me ask you this question. I feel that Arizona took one step forward and 3 steps back, but let me ask you this question. Do you think that Jed Fish and the coaching staff can easily rebound and just tell every single recruit that still is committing to Arizona, hey, we're still committing to you. Don't go to somewhere else. And I'm kind of worried about that. And I just hope Jed Fish can pull a rabbit out of his hat and just get even more 5-star quarterbacks, and hopefully won't go to seek NIL money, and just that's a whole different story for another day. So
yeah.
Thank you guys. Bear down, Arizona. Go Caps.
All right, Gabriel, thank you for the call and all of that. It is indeed the Wild West out there right now. You just never know what's going to happen with NIL and recruiting and the transfer portal and, young people making decisions and not keeping those promises. It's just all a mess right now, but that's where we are. JD, how about this? Stanley Berryhill has been very vocal on Twitter recently about the program. He chimes in on the quarterback situation. JDL and Noah Fafita are both tremendous players, but when it comes down to it, you got to ride with the hot hand. Noah is the hot hand, and we all saw it on Saturday. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. This is just mine. Either way, U of A football is in good hands. That is from Stanley Berryhill III, who played wide receiver for the University of Arizona for a number of years and was in the NFL last year with the Detroit Lions. So Stanley says that they should go with Noah. All right, I want you to hear from head coach Jed Fish the second part of this, what he said earlier today about why he chose to kick the extra point in the first overtime and not go for 2.
As for the second part of the question about going for 2, I would say that what goes into it is, do you love your 2-point play right off the bat? We called a 2-point play earlier in the game because it was 28-26. So let's say we called our number 1 2-point play in the game. So now it's 28-all. Now we're going to our second best 2-point play. We held Caleb to 1 yard rushing in the fourth quarter, 43 yards passing. Our defense had no problem stopping their offense. To decide to put it in my hands as the play caller and the quarterback's hands with our, let's call it, with a 2-point play that I knew we were going to have to go to next, that it was didn't seem that we didn't need to do that at that moment in time. As the offensive coordinator, I would have done it. I would have pushed for it. But as the head coach, I got to stand in there and talk to the defense and say, you guys have played better than any team has played this team in 2 years. You guys held the Heisman Trophy winner to 1 yard rushing and 40 yards passing in the fourth quarter. So I'm going to take it into my own hands and either win or lose a game on one play. And I didn't feel that was the right thing to do.
All right, that is the head coach right there who put some faith in his defense. And again, I don't have a problem with that. Either way, if he'd have kicked it there, which he did, or if he decided he wanted to go to 2, I'd have been fine with either call. I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong situation there. But I do see where he's coming from when he talks about, look, your defense largely is what has gotten you to where you are now. They're the reason that this team is 3-3 right now with a chance to go to a bowl game and has played 2 top 10 teams to within a score each. And sometimes you got to let your defense try to go win you a game. And I got no problem with that whatsoever from the head coach. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the 5s with your traffic and your weather. Here is Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. Reported collisions Kinney and Bop on Kinney Road near Bop Road, also clearing Benson and Campbell Avenue and Benson Highway. 15% chance of showers today, 66 are low, 94 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Since 2010, Blindster has sold millions of custom...
Sports.
Well, the Cardinals struggled to find any kind of success in shutting down Joe Burrow or his number one target, Jamar Chase, as the Bengals used that combination for 15 catches and 3 touchdowns, Chase becoming only the 5th player in league history to reach that mark. It was also the game that the Cardinals saw that running back James Conner did not return to after having his reported knee injury. Again, the team saw Mario DiMercato come in, play well, but head coach Jonathan Gannon said that it was hard to run the offense without Conner on the field.
Yeah, I actually thought Amari came in and played well. Had a couple runs in there, but honestly, obviously when you lose one of your best players, that hurts, but we got to, carry the load for him. I thought Amari did a good job.
What happened with James and how's he feeling?
I think he's feeling okay. I think when he on that long run, might have got his foot stuck in the ground there, might have twisted his knee up, so we'll see tomorrow.
Arizona will have to go ahead and see if Conner will be back on the field against the Rams this week. And several manager positions are likely to open up around Major League Baseball. One current manager is trying to go ahead and deter the idea that he'll be picking up a job elsewhere in the league. Tampa Bay manager Kevin Cash has said that his name is, while it's swirling with the Cleveland Guardians job, after former U of A alumni Terry Francona elected to step down as manager of Cleveland. Cash says that he is very happy in Tampa Bay and looks forward to the next year with the Rays while he is still under contract. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
3-2 pitch on the way. And a drive to left. Way back, 3-run homer, 5-0 Diamondbacks. Circle them.
Yeah, they were doing a lot of circling at Dodger Stadium on Saturday night. Game 2 of the NLDS is on the horizon. Arizona, Los Angeles. Let's get you set for that one.
Diamondbacks download.
Baseball stuff.
All right, let's go back to what happened Saturday night. The Diamondbacks were facing Clayton Kershaw, and they jumped all over him in the first inning.
Off-speed pitch laced into left center field. Outman on the run, misjudged it, and it pops out of his glove. And here's Marte sprinting for second and diving in. Ball hit through the middle. Marte around third. He's going to score. And the Diamondbacks, who had to come from behind in both games in Milwaukee, jump in front here at Dodger Stadium. Line to left, a base hit. Carroll stops at second. His 14th pitch of this inning is driven to deep left. Back, way back, and off the wall. 1 run is home as Carroll sprints for the plate, and they'll have second and third with a 2-0 lead, and Kershaw is yet to retire a hitter. High fly ball to deep left field. Forget about it. It's gone. A disastrous start for Clayton Kershaw. Moreno hit only 7 during the regular season. Put a major charge into that one. D-backs, and every D-back who has faced Kershaw has delivered a hit, and they've all been hit hard. And Longoria slams one toward the gap in left center field, and Outman dives but can't get it. It will go to the wall. Thomas on his way to third and being waved home. It's a double for Longoria. The peg to the plate is late, and it's 6-0 Diamondbacks. I'm out. Roberts comes to get Kershaw. He's had a rough time before in the postseason. This has to be the worst of all those outings.
How about Bob Costas calling some baseball? I love it.
Bob Costas has some history of maybe having the most brutal commentary of any time a pitcher has a very bad evening. One part I will always remember with Bob Costas, he once had, I think it was a pitcher for the Cubs, had a really bad relief effort. And the kid is walking off the field, looks up to the heavens and points to the sky. And Bob Costas, for some reason, just goes in on that moment and says, asking probably for forgiveness from the people he has upstairs, and I'm not sure they're going to give it to him. That's that was, I may be paraphrasing, but it's pretty much on point to what he said. So I was worried he was going to say something really bad about Clayton Kershaw in that moment.
Clayton Kershaw, 1/3 of an inning, 6 earned runs, 6 hits, 1 walk, gave up the home run to Gabby Moreno, and left with an ERA of 162.
Yeah, that was his 39th postseason appearance.
Yeah.
And up to that point, he had given up 91 runs in 39 total starts. All starts.
He has not necessarily had a lot of great success in the postseason.
How do you know it's October? The leaves change color. Pumpkin spice comes back to Starbucks. and Clayton Kershaw is having an absolutely horrid outing for the Dodgers.
I mean, for one of the best pitchers in modern times, 13-13 is his overall record in the postseason.
Yeah, not good. And it got worse in the second inning as the Diamondbacks kept piling on.
Corbin Carroll, who singled and scored a run in the first.
A high drive to deep right field. This ball is gone, and I mean long gone. The minute it left the bat, you knew there was no way the ballpark would hold that one.
He now has been on base 8 times in 2 games and 2 innings in the postseason.
And then with 2 on, it would be Lourdes Gurriel.
Lourdes grounded to short, number 6 hitter. He made the first out of the ball game.
Here's a line drive, another base hit for the D-backs. Lourdes Gurriel comes through, another run crosses the plate, and it's 8-0.
But now with the
It would be 9-0 after 2 innings in favor of the Diamondbacks. It would stay that way until the 7th when my man Alek Thomas stepped to the dish.
Alec has walked twice, scored a run. He flied out to right field.
Here's a drive to deep right center field, and it was worth the wait for Alek Thomas. He earned that one, fouled 11 of them off before finding one that was completely to his liking and sending it out of here.
And it's 10-0 Arizona.
I love that. It's my favorite at-bats ever is when a guy fouls a ball off 10 times and then he goes yard.
And if you're an infielder and you're watching that, you're just thinking one of these has got to be in play at some point. And the worst is when you see that thing just sky over everybody's head. You're like, wow, he really stuck it out for that pitch. That one pitch you couldn't give him.
10-0. Final would be 11-2. Cousin Merrill dealt in this one for the D-backs.
It is right-hander Merrill Kelly. Now, Kelly has had his struggles against the Dodgers, not just in 2023, but throughout his career.
This is shaping up as an unhappy 31st birthday for one of the game's great players, Mookie Betts. Got him looking. Mookie is hopping mad as he turns toward the dugout.
Kelly has a cushion to work with where he can just challenge hitters. So he has a cushion is an understatement.
Jason Hayward coming up.
Hayward strikes out. He's 0-2 on the night.
Now here's David Peralta, former Diamondback, who doubled his first and only time up tonight.
Got him looking. Back-to-back strikeouts, 4 for the game.
Now here's Hayward 0-2.
Swing and a miss. Hayward down on strikes. Kelly gets his 5th strikeout.
Terrific outing for Merrill Kelly.
Yeah, Cousin Merrill pitched well, and that's what you wanted with him getting the ball in game 1. 6 1/3 shutout innings, allowed just 3 hits, 2 walks, and struck out 5. He picked up the win. 3 relievers in relief would go the rest of the way. Miguel Castro did give up the 2 runs in the 8th inning, but the Diamondbacks win it by a score of 11-2, and afterward, a unhappy Clayton Kershaw.
Disappointing, embarrassing. I think I just feel like you let everybody down. Guys, whole organization that look to you to, pitch well in game 1, and it's just embarrassing, really. So I just feel like I let everybody down, and it's a tough way to start the postseason. Obviously we still have a chance at this thing, but that wasn't the way it should have started for me.
Not at all. Not a good outing. So we go to game 2. It's a 6:07 first pitch tonight at Dodger Stadium. And on the mound will be the Cy Young Award winning candidate, Zach Gallen, will go to the bump for the D-backs. 17-9 on the season, a 347 earned run average. And he will be opposed by Bobby Miller. I don't know that I've heard of Bobby Miller, but he had a good season, 11-4. 3.76 earned run average. He is just 24 years old, so one of the young pitchers in this Dodgers rotation, had 119 strikeouts on the season. He will get the ball to try to help avoid the Dodgers coming back to the desert for games 2 or 3 and 4 with a 2-0 deficit. And ironically, with a rookie on the mound tonight, your money line, courtesy by Desert Diamond Casino, has the Diamondbacks as the underdog tonight at plus 135. Your Dodgers looking to stay in it and get the Steven win at minus 157 this evening. So that's a good bet, I think. If you take the Diamondbacks and the money tonight, see what happens if we put 30 on that. You're going to win $40.
There you go.
I think little Bobby Miller probably wants to look at some of the recent history because, guys, the Diamondbacks were 23rd in Major League Baseball in home runs this year. They got 8 to lead all major leagues in the postseason. Obviously, it's only through 3 games. The second place team, the Twins, have 5. 3 more home runs in these 3 games in the postseason than any other team. They're 4th in ERA and 4th in batting average so far in the postseason. And Corbin Carroll, right? Have you seen his numbers so far through the postseason? Batting .500, 6 home runs, 6 hits, 2 home runs, 13 total bases, second in all Major League Baseball in the postseason.
He is playing like an MVP, a team MVP, anyway,
He's
for
21,
these Snakes. Yeah.
21 years old, that guy?
Rookie of the year.
Are we sure he's only 21? Because those aren't 21-year-old numbers in postseason baseball.
No.
How about there's only 2 games going on tonight in Major League Baseball. The other game is happening right now in Atlanta, and the Phillies are trying to take a 2-zip lead back to the city of brotherly love, and they're up on the Braves right now in the bottom of the 4th by a score of 3-0. Zach Wheeler has not allowed a base hit through 3 2/3 innings, and he has 8 strikeouts already. Wow.
Right now, this is the ultimate feast or famine for this Braves team. Again, they are the best slugging team in baseball, one of the best home run hitting lineups in maybe the last 5 years of baseball's history. They can't buy a run right now. Going back to game 1, they also struggled mightily at the plate. They were striking out a lot in game 1. Zach Wheeler can go ahead and get this thing going all the way to the 6th and still keeping Atlanta looking for their first hit. I'd be very nervous if I was Atlanta trying to go ahead and get that sorted because that power swing, once it's gone, man.
And with Acuna Jr., like he hasn't had a hit yet in the postseason, not a single one. And that's your tone setter, right? So, I mean, that offense, and he had an incredible year. We don't need to go through all his stats this year, but he's struggling big time in the postseason, and that's really affecting their offense.
Minnesota stayed in it on Sunday with a 6-2 win over the Astros. So that series is going back to the Twin Cities 1-1, and the Orioles are down 2-zip going down to Texas after an 11-8 loss to the Rangers. The Rangers have won 4 games all on the road in this postseason.
Finally getting some baseball coming back to Texas
here.
How about
Bruce Bochy? Bruce Bochy taking over there and has the Rangers looking right now. I would have to call them the hottest team in the playoffs right now.
Now, Mr. Baseball, I got a question.
Next to the Diamondbacks.
It used to be, in my memory, that teams that won 100 games, they always had at least the 1-2 punch starting pitchers.
Right.
And it was really tough to knock those kind of, because they got rested. They had the chance to make sure that their starters, their number 1 and number 2, are ready to go for game 1, game 2 of the postseason type of thing. It used to be that those teams didn't lose their first, second, third games of the postseason. It feels like this year, DK, it's just so up in the air. Teams. Go ahead.
It's this new wild card. I mean, what happens is the top 2 seeds sit for a week. I mean, you played Sunday and then you didn't play again until Saturday. I mean, in the old days, in the division series era, you were playing at least by Tuesday or Wednesday.
Right.
But now these top seeds are sitting for almost a week. That you lose. I mean, again, you lose your mojo when you have to sit that long and wait for these. And imagine, obviously at some of these games it played into 3. I mean, they were all series sweeps in the wild card, but yeah, I mean, I think that takes a toll on some of those higher seeds. Absolutely.
Yeah, the robots just don't exactly emulate what it's like to stand out there under pressure in an actual game.
All right, 520-848-1290 if you want to talk about the baseball postseason. How is your team doing? Who are you following? I got a lot of teams. I got the Phillies. My dad grew up in Philadelphia. I got the Orioles. My uncles play for the Orioles. I got the Dodgers. I spent half my life in Los Angeles. And I got the D-backs. I live here now. So I got 4 teams I'm kind of – and I got family in Atlanta.
What about the Tribe?
I'm not really rooting for the Atlanta Braves. The Tribe, yeah, they're not in it.
I know, but that's a team. That's
my team, but they're not in it.
Oh, okay.
They're trying to find a manager.
That's where your heart is.
Yeah, they're trying to find a manager. I'd love to get Kevin Cash from Tampa Bay. That'd be a good hire.
No, he's happy. He already said he's happy in
okay.
Tampa.
All right.
Depending on where the stadium is,
And
if
they
he
have
has to go across the bridge again or not.
It's not Tampa. It's St. Pete. That's the
St. Pete. My bad.
Yeah, St. Pete
My
Rays.
bad. All
if
right.
we're going back on the 1-lane highway, I want to go to Cleveland. They got a freeway system there.
Let's let you talk. We'll let our lady Cricket tell you about highways here in Tucson as she gets you home every 20 minutes on the 5.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. With collisions reported, Ruth Roth at I-10 reported on Ruth Roth at I-10. Also crash on Kinney near Bop, on Kinney Road near Bop Road and slowing in the area. In your weather, we've got a 15% chance of showers today, 66 are low and 93 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Since 2010, Blindster has sold millions of custom blinds, shades, and shutters to satisfied customers across the country with 20,000 5-star reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Custom blinds at low prices and free shipping. Blindster.com.
1290 brings you the passion of football like no one else.
So it's 3rd and 19 now from the LA 31. Snap to Stafford. 7-step deep drop. Climbs the pocket. Throws a deep ball far side. Cup wide open. Caught at the 30. Running right to the 20. Back to the left 10. 5. Touchdown. How did Cooper Kupp
This season, 1290 will bring you almost 100 NFL and college football games. It's not flexing. It's just the truth. Scoreboard 1290. Wildcats Radio 1290.
License 240693.
Summer got hot.
Dangerously hot. And frankly, most mass-produced air conditioners couldn't handle our Arizona kind of hot.
Alaskan AC has partnered with a top manufacturer and created the Grizzly.
The Grizzly is an AC that is custom built for desert climates.
We factored in the brutal heat, swirling dust, and blasting sand our weather brings us,
and made it stronger, more durable,
and cooler.
The Grizzly chews up all the other air conditioners.
And the only place you can get the Grizzly is Alaskan AC.
Now that's cool.
That's Grizzly cool.
If you order one now, you'll be saving some cool cash.
That's because the Grizzly has everything Arizona homes need and none of the stuff they don't.
While other ACs hibernate, the Grizzly stands up and roars cold, fresh air to every room.
We believe in customizing every system to fit your home. And now we've customized an air conditioner just for Arizona summers.
The Grizzly.
Only from AlaskanAC.com.
Discover, this is Danny.
Hi, it's Jen Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special.
their final attempt in third overtime. Again, head coach Jed Fish said the team will be making the best decision on what the course will be at the quarterback position for their upcoming game this week.
Yeah, well, the first question is, we haven't made a decision in this program once about what, we decide what we think is best for the program from everything that we know and do and see, and we don't just listen to others in that decision. When it comes down to deciding who the starting quarterback is, when we played USC last year and lost 45-37, and Jaden threw 3 touchdown passes, ran for another, and had 387 yards passing, everybody was clamoring that he should have been the player of the week. I think that everybody has short-term memories. Everybody likes to live in the now, live in the present. Noah has done a fantastic job, and having 2 quarterbacks is better than none. And I think we're in a very good place at the quarterback position as we move forward.
And Arizona is opening as an almost 10-point underdog at the time against Washington State. And bad news for the Colts, they will likely be without their quarterback and the number 4 overall pick in this last year's draft, Anthony Richardson, for some time, as it was revealed that he suffered a grade 3 AC joint sprain in the contest against the Titans this last Sunday. Richardson has dealt with several injuries so far in his rookie campaign, including a concussion that had him sit out a week earlier this year. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. So the chatter about Noah Fafita versus Jaden DeLora. So I pulled a stat because I was just interested because you know me. For me, it's all about the points. This offense, regardless of who's been the quarterback, has not scored at the level that we thought they were going to score this season. And so when this whole thing kind of started after the game on Saturday night, one of the things that first came to my mind was, I'd be interested to know what the points per possession were for these two guys. And so I went and I looked that up. And what I did was I took all the what I called the meaningful or true possessions. I took out like possessions at the end of the second quarter and the fourth quarter, which they really weren't trying to score, and basically not just running the clock out at the end of the game or whatever not. And the numbers were very similar if you don't count the overtimes, because again the overtime is kind of a skewed situation. But I'm going to give you the numbers, non-overtime and overtime, and let you kind of stew on that. But essentially, Noah Fafita has had 22 possessions that have led to 66 points. It's exactly 3 points per possession. Jaden DeLora, and I'm going off the top of my head because I don't have the information right in front of me right now, but I believe Jaden DeLora, it was something like 98 for 38 possessions or something of that nature. I think it was 100 for 37 possessions. So it comes out to 2.7. So very, very similar, which is, I thought, what it would be, especially when I looked at the drive chart from the USC game. And literally there were 8 possessions where the Wildcats essentially scored just 1 touchdown during that game. And so I get it. I get that, yeah, Noah looks good. Noah's the future, and I'm not saying that he's not the future, but right now it's about winning games. And say what you want. He's played 2 top 10 teams. He's played them close. He still hasn't won a game, and you do have a quarterback who's got 16 wins, or actually 15. 15 and 16, I think, is the record for Jaden DeLora in college football. You've got a quarterback who has 15 wins at this level. And so I think you have to weigh that. And I know some people were saying, well, what about the turnovers? Yeah, the turnovers are in the favor of Noah Fafita. Jaden had his little hiccup there in the Mississippi State game and early in some of the early games. But ultimately, I'm going to go with experience in this situation And I believe that, again, that's what Jedd Fisch is going to do too. Jedd Fisch knows he's got two guys that can win games for him and two guys that can play at a high level. And you heard him say this, and we'll J-Dub pull that, let's play the cut again on what he said when he was asked today if Jaden would be the starter if Jaden was healthy.
We'll play with Jaden if he is 100% healthy. He will start on Saturday. And if he is not, then Noah will start on Saturday. And that's the way it'll work.
Pretty simple. Pretty simple. If Jaden can go, Jaden's the quarterback, and I would expect that I know there's a lot of you out there that don't agree with that, but I just don't see him making this type of change at this point of this season. And I don't think that would be a smart decision if he did. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. What did you think of those numbers there, Dragon Ball?
I think that it's funny that we see it based on how closely they are to one another in regards to the scoring output, because what was it that Brennan Carroll said last week in Noah's first start was, well, we were a little bit overly cautious with the young quarterback in his first start. We maybe didn't want Noah to do too much, so we started the game out slow. And then you look at the game against USC, they opened it up, and it was a 10-point lead in the first quarter. They started a 17-point lead, 17-0 in that second quarter. It's like, okay, they open up the playbook because they're starting to trust Noah a little bit. But the fact of the matter is that touchdown in the first quarter was the first time they had been in the end zone in the first quarter almost the entire year.
Do you know why, though? Noah Fifita, this is not to take anything away from his obviously steady play. Mm-hmm. The reason they scored in the first quarter, guys, was because the run game got it going. All of the runs in those first two drives. I got it in front of me. Jonah Coleman for 3, Jonah Coleman for 7, DJ Williams for 10. That's their first drive for the field goal, right? So, they really got the running game. You go back and look at that Washington game, first 3 and out, first 2 drives, right? Mm-hmm. They ran backwards, DK. So, obviously, with the young quarterback like that, I don't know if that's line push. We'll have to talk to Glenn about that, really, Kelvin. But, I don't know if that's all line push or scheme or what it is, but they got positive yards from the run game, and that took a lot of pressure off of Noah early in that game. Those are the first few plays of the game. They got the ball going on the ground.
Rob Boron checks in, and he was responding to Jedd Fisch's comments about not going for 2 at the end of the first overtime and trusting in his defense. Rob says, I can just imagine the defensive players sullenly refusing to celebrate after the 2-point conversion was successful. I don't mind if you have a different opinion. Just do better than answers that are obviously full of it. That's Rob Boron responding to the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats.
I can understand the upset nature of saying that, well, I'm sure the defense didn't want to go in and see the team try to go for the win. No, the defense obviously wants the offense to score points. That's the only way that defenders can go ahead and be able to do their job, which is really peel the ears back and go after the quarterback, which they were doing the whole game. And that's the thing. If the defense is getting as good of a push as they were throughout that contest, if you can that's the funny thing about college overtime. You get an interception in overtime, you could run it back for a score if you want, or you put your team in a position, a field goal wins it. We don't need to do anything else.
Right.
So if the defense can force a turnover, the defense can force a mistake, that's what they're supposed to do.
I don't know about decision-making in 2 points, but I do know this. The proof is in the math. Washington averages 47 points per game. Arizona held them to 31 points in the game 2 weeks ago. USC averages 52 points per game, guys. And before the overtimes, 28 is what they had in regulation. So obviously, points in overtimes count. I'm not trying to take that away, but still they were 12 points under their average. 10 points under their average, and that was with the 3 overtimes. So as far as the way the defense, on paper, we always knew coming into the season they were going to be much improved, but the proof is what they've done these last 2 weeks against 2 of the most highly powered offenses in the entire country.
Rich Carrillo checks in, and he says whether you like Jed Fish or not, he's a stand-up man. He doesn't shy away from the pressure. He's the CEO of the team, and he calls the shots. He will not be influenced by public opinion or biases. Bear it down, says Rich. BTH, AZ Wildcat fan, checks in. Arizona's offense underachieved in 6 consecutive Jaden Delores starts and overachieved in 2 Fafita starts. I'm not sure what 6 consecutive Jaden Delores starts he's referring to. If he's referring going back to last year, I don't know about that. Delore had a good game against UCLA on November 11th, though. Thought he had a pretty decent game against Arizona State, too.
Pretty good game against USC last year, too.
Yeah.
He got 5 touchdowns in that one.
Gilbert Rodriguez, less turnovers with Noah, and that is a big factor with a lot of people wanting to see more Noah Fafita. Just look at the game against Mississippi State. Both times, multiple games with multiple turnovers.
Well, I mean, here's the reality. Everybody remembers the first quarter, guys.
Yeah.
He had 3 interceptions. He also had a lost fumble in that game.
And he hasn't thrown one since.
No, he has 5 interceptions on the season, and 3 of them came in that first quarter against Mississippi State. So it's easy to look at that first quarter against the Bulldogs and think, Delore is terrible with decision-making. He's just throwing the ball to the other team every single time he has it. But it was really just that first quarter. It's kind of a microcosm.
So he played 10 quarters after that with no interceptions.
Yeah.
The last 3 in Mississippi State, the 4 against UTEP, and then the 3 at Stanford.
Look, I think that there's a very simple thing that people aren't maybe factoring in is that No Fafita obviously is running a more simplified offense, and Jaden Delore is that typical gunslinger, risk-taking type of quarterback. And so if you, and a stronger arm, fitting in tighter spots, if that's what you're looking for, if that's the guy you like to ride with a guy who can make those really, really difficult throws, Delore is going to make them more often than Noah. Noah, obviously, what was the stat? 0 for 5 for balls that were thrown past 20 yards type of thing.
Right.
The reality is that the offense has been running really well because of the running game and Noah's ability to find those underneath routes, right? And so it looks effortless moving the ball. That USC defense isn't exactly a juggernaut themselves, but you can't take anything away. He's the Pac-12 Freshman of the Week this week, as well he should be. 5 touchdowns versus the Trojans. And I think people need to don't forget what happened in that Mississippi State first quarter, but don't look at that as being the culmination of the entire season for Delore. Those 3 interceptions there, that was not what he's done all year long. That was just a one-off for that one quarter.
Both of Noah Fafita's starts have come against AP top-ranked teams. Per ESPN, he's the 10th quarterback in just the past 20 seasons to make his first 2 career starts against AP top 10 opponents. Not too shabby, but again, 0-2. 0-2. We will come back in the 5 o'clock hour. You'll hear from Blair Willis. We'll talk to Blair about some of this. He is our Arizona insider for today. We'll also take more of your calls, 520-848-1290. This is DK on the Sports Tip. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. New collision reported Grant Road near I-10 on Grant to the west of I-10. Also reported collision on Ruthroff at I-10 and Kinney near Bop on Kinney Road near Bop Road. 15% chance of showers today, 66 are low, and 93 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Want to save big on custom faux wood blinds, shutters, cellular shades, and more? Shop Blindster today and save up to 50% over comparable blinds from brick and mortar stores. Get custom blinds at low prices and free shipping at Blindster.com.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste, because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
3 little words no parent wants to hear.
My tummy hurts.
And it always seems to happen at the worst times. Like in the middle of the morning rush, when you still have homework to check and lunches to pack, and of course, you're already late for work.
Luckily, there's Pepto Kids. Pepto Kids gummies help relieve occasional stomach upsets, turning those 3 words into these 3 words.
I feel better.
Bad time for stomach upsets? Good time for Pepto Kids gummies. Fast support for little tummies.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This is Jim Rome with your Rome Report. How about them Cowboys? No, I mean, really, how about them Cowboys? Exactly what happened to those scrubs? It's almost like Kyle Shanahan is the actual owner of the Cowboys franchise and not that wacky old man who really does own them. Speaking of which, Jera, where was that impromptu presser? Where was that spontaneous media gaggle to explain what happened in your big measuring stick game? And my man, if that in fact really was the big measuring stick game that you said it was all week long, then your guys do not measure up, because alleged contenders do not get hammered the way you did in a game that you all admitted you had to have. We heard it all week long. One thing to lose to the Niners, that's not surprising. After all, they do own you. But to get hammered, completely outclassed, and humiliated like that with all of your peers and the nation watching is something totally different.
Wildcats Radio 1290. Wildcats Radio 1290. 2020 Sports.
University of Arizona on Saturday as the team went and took the reigning Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams and his USC Trojans to a triple overtime contest, but they could not get into the end zone on their final attempt in third overtime. Again, head coach Jedd Fisch said the team will be making the best decision on what the course will be at the quarterback position for their upcoming game this week.
Now, the first question is, we haven't made a decision in this program once about what, we decide what we think is best for the program from everything that we know and do and see, and we don't just listen to others in that decision. When it comes down to deciding who the starting quarterback is. When we played USC last year and lost 45-37, and Jaden threw 3 touchdown passes, ran for another, and had 387 yards passing, everybody was clamoring that he should have been the player of the week. I think that everybody has short-term memories. Everybody likes to live in the now, live in the present. Noah has done a fantastic job, and having 2 quarterbacks is better than none. And I think we're in a very good place at the quarterback position as we move forward.
Again, Arizona is opening as an almost 10-point underdog at the time against Washington State. And bad news for the Colts, they will likely be without their quarterback and the number 4 overall pick in this last year's draft, Anthony Richardson, for some time, as it was revealed that he suffered a grade 3 AC joint sprain in the contest against the Titans this last Sunday. Richardson has dealt with several injuries so far in his rookie campaign, including a concussion that had him sit out a week earlier this year. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT?
Central Northwest Tucson, duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Mount Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
Should Jed Fish had gone for 2 points at the end of the first overtime in Los Angeles? That is our question of the day. Should Jed Fish have gone for the win when he had a chance to snuff out the Heisman Trophy winner and the 10th ranked or 9th ranked USC Trojans? Right now, it's come down a little bit. It was 88% saying yes. Now it's 79% saying yes. Be aggressive. Go for 2. 21% saying no. Play it out, which is what Jed Fish did. And it resulted in a loss for the Arizona Wildcats. We'll hear more Jed Fish coming up here momentarily. You'll hear what he had to say about that several plays. The last play, which was the run to the left with DJ Williams, and then we had a caller ask earlier about the bomb they tried to throw down the left sideline on the drive where they ended up missing the field goal.
Yeah, it was 1st and 10 with about 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, he talked about that as well today.
I do have a question from longtime caller Tom. He couldn't get on the air, but he wants to ask you, DK, what you thought of the penalties in the game and how they might have affected. The Justin Flo wrestling the passer. I think that was on 3rd and 14 or something like that. That was a big call.
I mean, you cannot, what was the final count? You cannot.
12 for 99.
Yeah. You can't make 12 penalties and expect to win a game like that. And some of them are just stuff we continue to see. And you'll hear Jed, he talks about that as well. Just these post-curricular calls. And I get it. And you'll never, and I know a lot of people, that's the other thing. I know a lot of fans out there are complaining about the officials from Saturday night's game. One thing you will quickly find out if you haven't about this program, we do not complain about officiating on this show. Okay? I grew up in an athletic family. And one of the first things I learned growing up about playing sports was that you don't complain about the officiating.
Not to get philosophical, DK, but you know the whole tree in the woods and does anybody hear it if nobody's around thing? What that means is if you're observing it as fact, you're creating that as a reality. So what that means is if you're focused as a player, as a fan sitting at home on your couch, throw stuff at the TV, complain about the refs. But as from a player coaching perspective, if you're overly concerned about the way the game's being called, one or the other, that's on your mind. That's not what you need to have on your mind. What you need to have on your mind is what you need to be doing in the game, not what the refs are doing.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, there's, when we go back, I go back and I watch these games, and there you see things like there was a play, one of the sacks that Noah took in the second quarter. Clearly, Jonah Coleman got held trying to come out of the backfield. He was trying to leak out and could have been the dump down play for Noah, but the inside linebacker literally grabs him and spins him around. Should have been defensive holding, didn't get called. As a result, Noah takes a sack there.
It's just Pandora's box, right? Every single play could be holding, right? So if you're looking at one play, the Arizona didn't get the call, then how many plays did USC not get the call?
Right.
I like the part where USC jumped on the offensive line a lot.
Yeah.
I think they got like 4 or 5 false start penalties because the Arizona defensive linemen were pinning their ears back. That's what I like seeing.
Exactly. But we're not going to complain about the officiating on this show.
Dumb post-play. You just said it, DK. The discipline after the play ends.
Exactly.
If your extracurricular stuff after plays costs your team, gives a first down to the opponent when they're in a long yardage situation, you just cannot have those kind of plays. You can't give them short yardage on first down by getting false starts and whatnot. You can't, be offsides as a defensive lineman. But those helmet-to-helmet things, just there's no reason. It's an intimidation thing, DK. They're trying to send a message. But at the end of the day, you can cost your team the game with those kind of plays.
All right, I want to hear some more from want the folks to hear Jed Fish, the rest of Jed Fish's press conference today, and what he had to say about a number of these issues that we have been talking about today. Let's hear from the head coach.
A couple of roughing the passer calls against you guys, and whether or not they were legit.
First question,
or not,
roughing the passer.
Is there a way that you can coach that out of guys, especially when quarterbacks aren't live in your practices and you're not hitting them? How do you teach them to just come to a stop?
Yeah. In practice, it's easy because they know they have to stay so far away from them. They're peeling off quickly. And, you make such a point of emphasis in practice of don't go near the quarterback, right? Don't go near them because of the fact that those things can happen. So then you get into a game and you make such a point of emphasis of being physical, hitting the quarterback. Every chance you have, if you could be close to the quarterback and be in position to make a play, make the play. There is that fine line of discipline of pulling off at the last possible second. I don't think that Justin needed to have that final shove. Do I think it impacted anything? No, but I think it was probably unnecessary after the throwaway on third down. I thought that there was probably another one that – oh, yeah. I was trying not to reference exactly what happened, Brian, in case I didn't want to get held accountable for that. There was another one that I could think of that didn't necessarily look to be close enough to say that was a necessary call. But we've got to be great in terms of staying away from the quarterback. We've got to be great in terms of being disciplined in that regard. And we have to understand, if you're more than one step away, you can't hit them, and you can't land on them directly. You can't put all your body weight on them. So that's something we have to practice on with, stand-up dummies. That's something we have to practice with our D-line drills. That's something we have to continue to emphasize and not be in a position where that can affect the game, because I believe that on both those 15-yard penalty drives, there was points.
Based on what happened last season against Washington State, what's your message to Jaden this week, just in terms of handling emotions and all that?
If he plays?
Now you guys are going to Pullman now.
Yeah, I mean, my message to Jaden is always the same, that when you play with poise and when you play with confidence, you're one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and you've proven that. I think he's third or fourth in the country in passing yards over his career. He started 32 games. He's come here, has won, 8 games, 8-8 as a starter here. And when he plays like he does in the 8 that he started and we won, he was very poised and he didn't let the emotions get in the way of the game. When he played against Washington, when he played against USC, never let the emotions get in the way of the game. And played great football. We didn't come out on top, but both games were fantastic games for him. If he plays like that, I have no doubt that we can compete with anybody in the country. If the emotions get the best of them, or of any player, they're never going to be at their best. So we have to ignore the noise. We have to be able to play smart, good football, not turn the ball over, protect the team, and make great decisions. And that's the message that I will give him. And the fact that he's going back to Pullman, I guess is a big deal. I don't think it's a really big deal, though. I mean, we played him already. We didn't play very well. We lost 31-20. And our job is to play better than that with a much better team than we had a year ago.
The play call in the end in triple overtime, the handoff to DJ, the pitch to DJ, what did you like about that play that made you go with that?
Well, he ran it 6 times for 111 yards prior to that play in the game, or 5 times for 111 yards. I think we were averaging 19 yards per carry on the toss crack play, and we didn't block it right the 6th time. We had the Mike linebacker there, and we need to block the Mike linebacker, and we busted on that one rep. And if we did block it right, then we'd all be sitting here and it'd be 43 all, and it would have been a 4th time. We would have been our 4th overtime. But I love the idea that we were in a situation where we threw it once to T, then we threw it once to Jacob, and then we were on what ended up being the 3rd 2-point play, and we felt really good about that run. And looking back on it, I still feel really good about that run, and I would just say that we need to execute that better.
2 quick questions. The play under 4 minutes, the bomb to T-Mac, that was incomplete.
The go route?
Yeah. What was your thinking behind that call at that point of the game?
Well, it was 1st and 10, I believe. It was 28 all. We just got to the 35-yard line or so. I think we're somewhere around that. I expected them to play field cover 2, field 6, and which they played. And we felt as if we were going to be able to have an opportunity to get T-Mac down the sideline. And we left it too far inside, and which caused T-Mac to have to then leak inside and try to make a acrobatic catch. But you have four guys going vertical. You have the back one-on-one on the Mike linebacker, and it's probably a play that we've called 50 times in the last 3 years, and we just wound up throwing an incompletion.
I asked you the same question last week. If Jaden is healthy, is he the starting quarterback?
Same answer, Jason. Yep. We'll play with Jaden if he is 100% healthy. He will start on Saturday. And if he is not, then Noah will start on Saturday. And that's the way it'll work.
All right, that is the head coach of your Arizona Wildcats today at his press conference. The Jedfish Radio Show comes your way in less than an hour, 6:05, right here on Wildcats Radio 1290. The voice of the Wildcats, Brian Jeffries, will have more questions for the head coach coming off the 43-41 triple overtime loss at USC and ahead of this weekend's trip to Pullman and Washington State. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Grant Road near I-10, a crash clearing on Grant to the west of I-10. The I-10 Orange Grove ramps are closed except for the westbound I-10 Orange Grove off-ramp that remains open, and westbound Orange Grove closed between Thornydale and the eastbound I-10 frontage road. We have a 15% chance of showers today, 66 are low, and 92 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Cool Willie's Air.
Radio 1290 brings you all the latest news and opinions on U of A football and the Pac-12. So bear down, Tucson, and let's talk Arizona football. Our Arizona Insiders are brought to you by Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
All right, we got a new insider for you. Making his first appearance on the program is Blair Willis. It's a name you might recognize. He has been around Arizona football for a lot of years as a sports information assistant for a number of years, and just a guy that knows a lot about the game. And we decided to bring him on and pick his brain on this football program as it stands right now. Blair, update the folks, though, on what you're doing now, because you were working with the Cancer Center. You have a Cancer Center for a number of years. Are you still doing that, or have you moved on to something else?
Yeah, David, it's good to be on with you. I really appreciate you having me and thinking about me. I know you and I talked a home football game recently, so it was great to catch up with you. I left the athletic department in the spring of 2019. I'd worked as a sports information director there for over 11 years. And I then worked 2 years in communications for the University of Arizona Cancer Center and loved every minute of that. And for the last 2.5 years, I've been with the Office of Communications for the University of Arizona Health Sciences. So it's good to still be on campus and connected with the university and the community, and obviously following the Wildcats as close as I can, too.
Yeah, Blair still does a lot of work with the stats team up in the press box during games, and for both football and men's basketball. So still a very big presence around the athletic department. Blair, what did you make? Just give me your overall thoughts on Saturday's game in Los Angeles and the Wildcats coming so close to pulling off that big upset.
Yeah, it was a heck of a college football game. I mean, you see those every week around the country, and sometimes Arizona's not always involved in one of those type of classic college football games, but I really think that's what we all got to see Saturday night at the Coliseum. It was, two teams that played very hard. I think Arizona came out and really caught USC by surprise. Arizona came out very physical, certainly executed well offensively with Noah Fafita, and the offense got the run game going early. The defense, which has been, has shown marked improvement all season, made a statement early, and then kind of once USC got its bearings and kind of got back in that game, it just turned into one of those back and forth, classic Pac-12 games that unfortunately we're going to miss some of these matchups in the future. But just a great college football game, and as a Wildcat fan, it really hurts to come out on the short end of that when you're that close and you have that number of opportunities to win that game. But the progress the program's made, I think, is very encouraging. It's an exciting time. So I'm just happy to see the football team competing, playing quality football, playing tough games against top 10 teams, and looking forward to the rest of the season.
One of the big things that's kind of come out after this game, the debate has been, Blair, about what the Wildcats should have done in terms of going for two versus kicking the extra point in that first overtime. You had some very interesting thoughts, I thought, on just kind of the play calling as a whole in overtime. What did you see in the way that kind of developed and what you liked or didn't like about it?
Yeah, I think there's a couple perspectives for coaches to make in those decisions. One, maybe you've thought about it before the game, or you get a sense, as the game's going on, maybe what you want to do. I heard a little bit of Coach Fish's press conference from today, and he just kind of liked the way our offense was going, thought the defense was playing well. So he just kind of wanted to, didn't feel like he needed to take that risk of trying to maybe get that 2-point conversion to win it in the first overtime. The part of it too, maybe Coach Fish was a little bit limited on his play calls of what he thought had a very high confidence of what would work in that situation, because Arizona had already had a number of third and fourth down and short situations in that game, a couple, third and fourth and goal situations late in the fourth quarter to get the tying touchdown, then needed to run a 2-point play, to get the tying points at 28-28 in regulation. So when you get to that overtime, maybe he just, he knows he's going to have to, if overtime keeps going, you're going to have to, get to a series of 2-point plays. And so maybe he just felt like, let's see if the defense can make a play, get that turnover, and let our offense keep doing what it's doing. But it's one of those, I don't know that there's a right or wrong situation there. I kind of personally in the moment was a little hopeful we might go to a 2-point play and see if we could win it right there. But at the same time, when the decision was made to kick it, and we kicked it, and we went to another overtime, I was just waiting for that second turnover. I mean, to pull upsets against top 10 team, certainly on the road, you've usually got to come out at least +1 in turnovers. And Arizona hasn't been able to do that this year, and it's probably why it's just been on the short end of the stick in 3 of these really close games.
Blair Willis joining us, UVA football analyst, and Blair, it goes back to, I think for me, in terms of your offensively, we've seen this team be able to move the ball pretty well, I think, until they get into the red zone. Again, and we all know it gets a lot tougher once you get inside that 20-yard line. And I just don't think that they're there yet with the Christmas that they want in the red zone. And that's one of the reasons why I think we're seeing that this team hasn't been able to score maybe at the level that we thought, because they just still can't get those touchdowns versus having to settle for field goals, I think, when they get into the red zone. And I think once they shore that up, and I know that that's something they worked on all off season, was red zone offense and red zone defense. I think once they continue to kind of figure out what they want to do once they get inside the 20, I think you'll start to see them win games like this versus losing close games like this.
Yeah, I think you're right, David. And I at the start of the season, over the summer, I was thinking about a lot of things where, this program could take the next jump and go from 5 wins to 6, 7, however many wins they could improve to this year. And really, those 3 areas were obviously turnovers, and that's an area that Arizona still hasn't gotten over that hump yet. It's a negative turnover margin for the season. Run defense, and we've seen really good improvement in the run defense so far this year. And then that third area was offensively finishing drives in the red zone. And I really think to this point of the season, there's been a little bit of improvement in that. And I think part of it is because Arizona is running the football a little bit better this year. But at the same time, in that USC game the other night, I think it's 4 red zone trips for the game, and you only come out with 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
You really want to be around 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, touchdowns when you get into the red zone. So, yeah, those 4 points that instead of getting a touchdown in the first half on the opening drive, or that first scoring drive of the second half, leaving those 4 points on the board makes a big difference at the end of the game when you can't finish those drives.
I thought you had one comment that was very interesting in terms of, obviously, one of the other things that a lot of people were talking about was the confusion in the second overtime about having to go for 2 versus kicking the extra point. And you brought up that it would be nice to have a situational coordinator, somebody that knows the rules and can communicate those things when the game gets quick like that. I know a lot of the NFL teams, you'll see, the NFL, they seem to have a coach for everything. I mean, they've got a coach to make sure that the coach is not on the field and those types of things. And it just comes down to simple little things like that. If there's one guy who can make sure that, hey, that is able to make the coach aware of every single situation, because like you said, Jed is the head coach. He's the offensive coordinator. He's got all these things to think about. Sometimes you need that other person to kind of remind you of some of the other little things that are happening in the course of a game.
Yeah, absolutely, David. It's ideally, the ideal college football coach and NFL coach, for that matter, is going to be somebody that isn't calling plays for the offense or the defense, and is really just going to be that true game manager, make those, kind of game control, time score situation type decisions. And a lot of the time, those are things that are answered before the game in your weekly preparation. But, as we know, and as you just said, I mean, Coach Fish calls plays, and I think he is a pretty good play caller. He's learning to adapt and grow as a college football play caller. So you don't really want to take that strength of his coaching acumen away from him. But if that's going to be the case, and he's going to call plays, and I would say the same thing for a defensive coach that calls the defense, you do need somebody on your staff. And these staffs are larger now than they were 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. So you have enough people on your staff, in your building, that you should be able to assign that role. And it's not just for football. I mean, it's really any sport. I mean, the rules of baseball, I know obviously the baseball postseason has just started. The rules of baseball are incredibly complicated, but that club, any major league clubhouse needs to have somebody on the bench that, basically knows every rule of the game, no matter how odd or unusual they are. And certainly as it relates back to college football, these overtime rules have been in place for a couple of years. So for a major college football program to get caught off guard, not knowing exactly what the rules are in the situation of how the overtime protocol is, that was a little bit surprising and disappointing. But, a pretty small thing in the big picture of how the Arizona's playing football these days. So I think it's a learning opportunity for Coach Fish and his staff, and I assume they'll already make the adjustment.
Blair Willis joining us here, longtime affiliation with the University of Arizona football program. Blair, when you look at this trip, you've been to Pullman, I'm sure, a number of times. What is the most difficult thing about this trip, other than the fact that it's probably the furthest that I think that the Wildcats probably go to play in this conference?
Yeah, I've been to Pullman probably 7 or 8 times, both with football and basketball, football and baseball, I should say. I was with the University of Arizona baseball team with Coach Lopez for 7 years. I think I did 3 trips to Pullman for baseball. The trip to Pullman for baseball is a lot harder than the trip to Pullman for football because the football team gets to charter in. It's a pretty easy flight up there, 2.5 hours, a little bit longer than most in the conference. But when you go up there with a college baseball team or most non-football, non-basketball teams, you got to do it the commercial route. So you got to find a way to get up to Seattle and then jump over to Spokane and then bus down, or there's a few various ways a baseball team gets up there. But for football, it's not unlike most road trips. Certainly I think some Big Ten road trips, SEC, Big 12, you're going to go into a little bit smaller town. You might have to stay a little bit further away from the campus. I think Arizona did that when they went to Mississippi State this year in Starkville. You're not staying, 2 miles down the road. You're not staying in downtown Los Angeles like they did last week in LA. So it's a tough trip, but what's neat about Pullman, and really it's unfortunate that Washington State and Oregon State, are kind of in the predicament that they are, is because those are truly college towns, and there's so much passion with their student sections, their fans, their alumni. They usually come from different corners of the state. Game day means something there, and so there's always a good atmosphere up there at Martin Stadium in Pullman. So Washington State's been up and down over the years, but even some of the down years when Arizona's gone up there, they've really had a good, active, engaged student section. So this won't be like the trip to Stanford a few weeks ago. Arizona's going to feel the presence when they take the field. It's going to be a hungry crowd and a great college football atmosphere.
Yeah, let's hope it doesn't rain, because I think every time we've gone there, it's either raining or foggy or something. And it's nice that they got this trip in early October versus early November or mid-November, when it seems like normally they take it.
Yeah, Dave, I think it was in the 80s up there, high 70s, 80s last week.
Wow.
And I think fall is finally arriving this week, so it might be a little chilly for the Cats on Saturday.
We'll see. Hey, Blair, loved having you. Love to have you back in the future.
Absolutely, David. Thanks for having me, and bear down, go Cats.
Blair Willis, U of A football analyst, is in our corner here as an insider.
Thanks to Coors Light for bringing you today's Arizona Insiders on Wildcats Radio 1290. Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
All right, our thanks to Blair Willis for joining us. Let's get you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. With a collision reported on Mountain Avenue near Speedway, north of Speedway on Mountain Avenue. Also crash clearing Grant Road west of I-10. Traffic hazard at Craycroft and River and Craycroft, a traffic hazard. There's a 15% chance of showers, 66 are low, and 91 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
October is Squirrel Awareness and Appreciation Month, and even as
2020 sports.
Well, the Cardinals struggled to find any kind of success in shutting down Joe Burrow or his number one target, Jamar Chase, as the Bengals used that combination for 15 catches and 3 touchdowns, Chase becoming only the 5th player in league history to reach that mark. It was also the game that the Cardinals saw that running back James Conner did not return to after having his reported knee injury. Again, the team saw Mario DiMercato come in, play well, but head coach Jonathan Gannon said that it was hard to run the offense without Conner on the field.
Yeah, I actually thought Amari came in and played well. Had a couple runs in there, but honestly, obviously when you lose one of your best players, that hurts. But we got to, carry the load for him. I thought Amari did a good job.
What happened with James and how's he feeling?
I think he's feeling okay. I think when he on that long run might have got his foot stuck in the ground there, might have twisted his knee up. So we'll see tomorrow.
Arizona will have to go ahead and see if Conner will be back on the field against the Rams this week. And several manager positions are likely to open up around Major League Baseball. One current manager is trying to go ahead and deter the idea that he'll be picking up a job elsewhere in the league. Tampa Bay manager Kevin Cash has said that his name is, while it's swirling with the Cleveland Guardians job, after former U of A alumni Terry Francona elected to step down as manager of Cleveland. Cash says that he is very happy in Tampa Bay and looks forward to the next year with the Rays while he is still under contract. That's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
DK on the sports tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right. Great game for some hockey Saturday over at Tucson Arena. The Coyotes came to town for their annual exhibition and put a whooping on the Anaheim Ducks by a score of 7-1. If you were at that game, love to hear from you on that. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290. Everybody have their Powerball ticket for tonight?
I got mine before I came into work today.
$1.55 billion. J-Dub, you buy one?
Yeah, I think we get one usually when it gets above $1 billion, because why not?
There you go.
That's usually when I judge whether or not I need to buy a ticket or not. Is once it gets to that B.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, like, I'm not a lottery player, and if I'm browsing the social medias out on the interwebs and I see numbers like that, then I got $1 or $2 I can throw towards that. Sure.
I usually start playing when it gets to 300,000.
That's up every single one, isn't it?
I'm sorry, 300 million.
Oh, okay.
Is it 300 million?
That's reasonable. That's reasonable.
300 million. I'm sorry, 300,000. 300 million is usually when I start playing. So I'll play all the way up from there. 1.5. Get your tickets before 7 o'clock. You got an hour and 15 minutes left to get your Powerball tickets for tonight's drawing and become rich and maybe buy the radio station and give us all a raise. No.
Well, see, here's the funny thing about it. I was curious about this. Do you know how much money would end up costing you to get a guaranteed win in the Powerball?
To get a guaranteed win?
If you bought a ticket with every possible combination of numbers, how much would it cost you to get one of each combination on Powerball?
Over $1 million, probably, dollars?
$584 million to get a guaranteed win. Which, funny enough, if you get the cash out prize for this particular Powerball, you'd be able to go ahead and do that for the next one by just clearing it by $100 million. So if you're looking to get another Powerball
that'd be
win,
worth it, though, right? That's an investment, right?
You could view it as that.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Absolutely.
I don't know if they allow for that kind of exchange, but that's what it would cost you.
Another way to make that amount of money is grow to be 7'7" and be born in France and be the number 1 pick in the NBA draft.
There you go.
That guy just made his debut in the NBA, guys, and I'm watching a little bit of it. Victor Wembanyama,
and he's playing another 7-footer.
He's playing Chet Holmgren, who was the number 2 pick last year. Obviously, sat out last year with the Oklahoma City Thunder, but yeah, Chet's listed at 7'1" and Wembanyama's listed at 7'3". Those numbers are not correct.
No,
that's got to be 7'4" and 7'5" is what those two guys. I watched them jump the ball. A lot of length on the court.
And they say the center position is dead in the NBA.
520-848-1290.
Small forwards.
520-848-1290. Let's talk to Mark. You're on DK on the Sports Tip, Wildcats Radio 1290.
Oh, hi, guys. Appreciate you getting me on. I gave it some thought, David, what you were saying about the 2-point conversion could have gone either way. I know when I listened to it live, my initial thought was, are they going to go for 2? I've been kind of following football since your uncle was playing with Purdue, and I'm sort of tired of listening to Fish's excuses. That's what it came on as, like, well, we don't have a two-point conversion. And then is anybody really buying that we held Caleb Williams to 1 yard? I mean, come on. Am I the only one that noticed that he was killing the Cats with his legs? He's going to be the number one pick in the draft. Everybody knows it. You're leaving the conference. It could have been a massive signature win. You were 3 yards away, Fish. That's the bottom line. You were 3 yards away. If you used your noggin, you would have said, let's just go for it. And he's acting like he doesn't have anything in his offensive bag of tricks. That's another thing. Unbelievable. You couldn't come up with some kind of Andy Reid type play, a little rub, a little misdirection thing to just get a guy wide open in the corner, and then you get out of there and you negate Caleb Williams. You're not going to go head-to-head with Caleb Williams. Everybody knows that. You weren't going to win that game. One of the reasons he's going to be taken number one is because he's smart and he's got a great heart and he's got all the intangibles. He was going to win that game. Anybody that's followed football knows that. I guess everybody except Fish. And that's kind of my take on it. I just got tired of listening to that nonsense he was spewing. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, Mark. Mark with some strong thoughts right there. Nonsense that Jed Fish is spewing, says Mark. 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290 is your last chance to get in on today's show. Tuesdays, as always, we'll chat with Dave Hickey. He will join us for our program. We will be back at Soul Sports this coming Saturday for the Meridian Wealth Management pregame show. Arizona game day. It'll be the Wildcats and the Washington State Cougars. Kickoff is set for 4 o'clock, which means we'll be on the air at 11:30 a.m. with the pregame show, and it's brought to you by Coors Light, an official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. Coors Light, there is nothing like game day at Arizona. Want to send a shout-out to all the great folks at Ironwood Ridge High School. We had a fabulous time out there.
Yeah, it was great.
On Friday, interviewing just a ton of their student athletes as well as just some of their scholars that they have out there at the high school, and then got a chance to stick around for a little bit of the game. And Ironwood Ridge knocked off Tucson High by a score of 37-22. Dominic Norris, who we had on our show, the quarterback, I mean, he had a game on Friday night, threw for 500 yards in that game. So shout out to Dom for and just a great game and leading the Nighthawks to their 6th win of the season and 5th win in a row.
Are you familiar with the concept of the money beats?
The money beats?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, it's from The Office. And one of the characters, Dwight, he's talking about his beat farm. And he always puts the money beats up front, so that whatever deformed beats are in the back. But David Kelly, I talked to quite a few student athletes from that campus that did not make it on the air, and that was not the case. I mean, every single student athlete that I talked to from that school was clearly had a great head on their shoulders. They were all very eloquent. It was just an overall incredible experience going up there.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. Great job by Arante Jenkins, who's in his 2nd year as the principal there and is really doing some fabulous things. But, yeah, I mean, Dominic Norris 23 of 41, 502 yards in that game. Did have 2 interceptions, but threw 4 touchdown passes. Conrad Tuffley had over 200 yards of all-purpose yards. He ran for 92 yards. He caught 6 passes for 124 yards. We've got highlights of some of the highlights from that game. Head on over to our website at Wildcats Radio 1290, and we've got highlights from both the Badgers and the Nighthawks up there. So if you had a chance to see the game or didn't see the game, we've got a bunch of those highlights. Oh, that's right. We've got and today is Monday, so we had the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge last Thursday, and let's hear how that game was set up.
Robert Fraga was the caller last Thursday, and I called him. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get on the air with us today. Traditionally, we've had the contestants from Thursday call back in on Monday. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it, but here's what he had to say last Thursday.
Yeah, you guys picked a tough one.
That's the whole point, Robert.
Yeah, I'm always on board with the most experienced quarterback.
Okay.
And New Orleans has that, but just the way their offense and defense and everything It's been shaky. I'm going to go with New Orleans. I think that quarterback for New England, he's just not cutting it for me.
Matt
Jones.
Matt Jones.
Yeah.
So you're going with New Orleans.
I'm going with New Orleans. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so Mac Jones is not the guy for you. You're going to take the New Orleans Saints
Derek Carr
on
baby.
the road with Derek Carr and company. And
Yes,
I will
sir.
get the New England Patriots. And I got the shaft on that one.
What was the score of that game?
34-0.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks, the Patriots have been outscored 72-3.
Wow.
This is potentially the.
Is there an opening at Alabama or?
Man, I'm not sure, but I guarantee you right now, Bill Belichick is asking his former D coordinator, Nick Saban, you've got to have some tips for me right now because I got nothing going on right now.
So what was that young man's name? That
The young man who called in was Robert Fraga.
Robert. So congratulations to Robert for picking the Saints, who win 34-0. He gets a $25 gift card from Miller Lite, and the pot will remain $25 for this coming Thursday. So when you hear the cue to call Thursday, right around 3:40, jump on the line, and I will pick the game. Can you pick the winner? It's the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge every NFL week here on Wildcats Radio 1290. You can walk away with a $25 gift card courtesy of Miller Lite. We've got more information on the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge. Again, just head on over to our website at wildcatsradio1290.com. And don't forget, again, we will, this Friday night, we plan to be at another high school. We'll announce that probably for you on Wednesday. There's a big game. You probably won't have to reach too far to find this one. Yeah, there's a pretty big game going on this Friday night. So we just got to dot our I's and cross our T's on that one. But it's a pretty big one. A few scores here run down. Tombstone beat Catalina on Friday night 69-0. That big game we talked about down in Wilcox, between Wilcox and Tanque Verde. How about this one? This turned out to be just 7-0. The Cowboys knocked off the Hawks, handing them their second loss of the season. That's going to wrap up our show for today. Thanks to Cricket. Thanks to Jada. Thanks to Dragon Ball. Most of all, thanks to you for listening. My name is David Kelly. This is DK on the Sports Tip. We'll talk to you on, that's right. We have Jed Fish coming up. So we are not done yet. We will come back.
Well, we can stay for a couple more minutes if you'd like.
That's true. We can do that. Why don't we, we'll just stay for a few more minutes. I always forget. I did that last week when you were gone.
You know what Tucson DK
Totally
really wants to
forgot.
know is what happened at the concert yesterday. That's what I think everybody really wants to know.
Well, it was interesting because it was a different setup than the Rialto. Because the Rialto is kind of a stand, but they do have upstairs seating at the Rialto on the balcony, but most people just kind of stand in that open area down on the floor there by the stage. This was a little bit different because it's kind of mostly seating out there at the Ava Amphitheater. So initially it kind of was, everybody was like standing in their rows or sitting in their rows and that kind of thing. And then they weren't I didn't think they were going to let anybody down by the stage, but they eventually did let folks down by the stage, and it turned into a pretty nice little party there.
They were just worried about grandmas, throwing knickers up there on the stage because that could be a big problem.
Exactly.
So you got to keep them as far away as possible.
Ambrosia opened, and Ambrosia was always been one of my favorite light rock bands from the 70s. That's how much I feel for you, baby, how much I need your touch. Yeah, so that was they were good. I enjoyed Ambrosia. Actually got to talk to the lead singer from Yachtly Crew a little bit later. We went and hung out. A bunch of us went and hung out inside the casino for a little while, and he ended up there at the circular bar that's right there in the middle, and was sitting in one of the booths and just went over and said hello, told him, hey, love your work, doing a great job, seen you twice now, hoping to see you again. They're going to be up in Phoenix on New Year's Eve. So if you want to see Yachtly Crew at the Marquee on New Year's Eve, is going to be the place to be to see them again. So they've got a residency now in Las Vegas. They're at the Palms in Las Vegas, and I think they're actually going to be at the Palms this weekend. So a chance to go over to Vegas and see them if you'd like like your yacht rock music. They are right now the #1 yacht rock band in the country.
Who's the #2 yacht rock band in the country?
That's a good question. According to my wife, it's Yacht Rock Review.
Ah.
Yeah, Yacht Rock Review is
I don't think
#2.
If your
band in the
band's
country.
name is not a pun, can you really be the #2 ranked band? I mean,
I don't know. Maybe.
I think puns are required.
Okay.
Got to have Yachtly Crew is just a great name.
It is a very great name. Yeah, it's like it's. I mean, obviously, people probably have figured out it's a takeoff of Motley Crue,
right?
And they have the 2 dots over the E, which I still don't understand what that's German scripture. I think
it's called an umlaut.
Umlaut,
I believe, something like that.
Yeah, I would trust that you would know that coming from an academic.
That's
family.
like the only there's so many weird symbols on top of letters all over the world, different cultures. I think the 2 dots over the O or over the U, I think that's the umlaut. That's the one I do know. The only one I do know.
Before we go, let's update. Ooh, I got a bunch of new comments here, so maybe we'll read 1 or 2 of these. People commenting about Jaden DeLora. Here's somebody that's commenting on the stat, the points per possession stat that I put out there earlier today. One fan says this is very misleading. JDL is a turnover machine and consistently looks panicked. That's the main reason Arizona fans want Noah in there. Noah's a better leader and a better quarterback. That's that Arizona fan who also goes.
No, that person speaks for all Arizona fans.
At Bear Down Cats. DJ says Fish not benching JDL after his atrocious first half at Mississippi State cost them the game. Noah would have come in and steadied the ship and won the game like he did at Stanford. Fish is at the fork in the road, and his job will be on the line if he makes the wrong move.
How do you feel about that, DK? You think that's true?
No.
No,
I don't think that's true at all.
I think he has faith in both of them because he recruited both of them here, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
He did. Let's see. Let's update you on our question of the day while we're at it here, and that was the 2-point play. It was at 79% when we last checked, and now it is at 79% still. So 79% of people saying that it should have been a yes for Jedd Fish to have gone for 2 at the end of the first overtime period. Yes, there you go. All right. I can take a break now?
You can if you want. Yeah, sure.
No, and I don't have to come back.
You don't have to come back.
This is it. Okay, all right. See you, everybody. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. DK on the Sports Tip. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290. Jedd Fish Show next.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, this is